watching Actually 101 with me, Prakriti Singhal. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also hit the bell icon so you never miss an update of my upcoming videos. So after now we've seen the circular flow of the economy, then we've seen what are withdrawals and injections, and then how to calculate GDP and then national income. So now let's look at when do we say that the national income is in equilibrium. We've seen when the demand and supply come together and form the equilibrium price. Now we'll be looking at the national income equilibrium. So the previous diagram that we saw, if I just make it a small version of the previous diagram, the circular flow, then we had firms and households basically, and here we were getting factor payments, that was Y, and here we were making payments for the consumption of domestically produced goods. Here there were some withdrawals, and here to the firms there were some injections. So this was the basic idea of the circular flow of diagram. Now the conditions that must be fulfilled for the national income to be in equilibrium are, we say national income is in equilibrium when two conditions are fulfilled. So the first condition that needs to be fulfilled is planned injections should be equal to planned withdrawals. So I'm saying that my W should be equal to J. The planned withdrawals should be equal to planned injections. And the second condition that we need is aggregate demand should be equal to income, that is the national income. So if I have these two conditions fulfilled, then I can say that the national income is in equilibrium. Let's look at an example first. So first I say let CD be a function of Y, which is 0.6y, and I'm saying y is equal to 100 and j is equal to say 40. So these are the elements given to us. Now to check if this situation is in equilibrium or not, what I'll do is I'll calculate first aggregate demand, because I know that one of the conditions to fulfill national income equilibrium is aggregate demand should be equal to income. I'm already given with income. Let's see if aggregate demand equals that. So if aggregate demand is equal to CD plus J, that we've already seen in the previous class, that aggregate demand is equal to consumption plus injections. So this will become 0.6y plus 40. Now to get the equilibrium level, I would need AD is equal to Y. So if I equate this equation, then I'll have y is equal to 0.6y plus 40, which implies that y is equal to 100. And this is what we have already. So now I can say that at national income level of y is equal to 100, I can say that my situation, my economy, my national income is in equilibrium. Again, to look at the other way, so whatever you are earning, whatever your income is, you will either consume it or you will withdraw it. Why? Because whatever you are getting as income or injections, but you're just getting income, whatever the households are getting as income, they will either consume it or they will withdraw it. So these are the two cases that can happen. Now, if my CD is equal to, again, y is equal to 0.6y plus w, and my y is already given as 100, if I'm checking at this level, then this will give me that w is equal to 40, which is equal to j. So I can fulfill the second condition also, that planned injections are equal to my planned withdrawals. And that is why we have both the conditions satisfying this level of national economy, and that is why I can say that here my national income is in equilibrium. Let's look at this in a more diagrammatical way using curves, the national income curves and the expenditure curves. We'll try to understand how do we calculate the national equilibrium level using a diagram. Now let's look at a diagram. So to be able to plot this on a diagram, what all components do we need is, we need Y, that is national income, then we need CD, W, J, and then we need aggregate demand, which here I am representing as E, which is planned expenditure, because aggregate demand is the planned expenditure on goods and services. So I'm taking Y on the x-axis and all the rest of the components on the y-axis. So these are the components that I have on the y-axis. So I know that aggregate demand is equal to CD plus J, and Y is equal to CD plus W, that we've already seen. How? Because either the income will be spent on goods and services or it will be withdrawn. So let's look at this equation first. So we have Y on the x-axis and CD and W both are on the y-axis. So what will be the curve? It will be something like this, which will be a 45-degree line. So we can say this is Y is equal to CD plus W. Now plotting this curve, which is also my E now, so this will be something like this. E is equal to CD plus J. So now I've got both my curves plotted on this diagram. Now I have seen that the national income is in equilibrium when Y is equal to AD, which is equal to E in this case. So this intersection, I can say, is my equilibrium point on the national income. And if I bring this down on the x-axis, basically national income, then I'll get Y is equal to 100 is the point where these two intersect, because we've already seen in the example that when Y is equal to AD, it was only at the national income level of 100. So we can say that here the national income is in equilibrium. Now let's see what happens if suppose my national income is at Y1, say anything less than 100. Now here what is happening is that aggregate demand is more and income is less. When I say the national income is less, I mean that national income is the output. We've seen that national income is comes from the GDP, and GDP is what? The product. So the production of all goods and services. So now, since national income is low, that means there is an unplanned decrease in stocks over here, because the aggregate demand is high, but the stock is not as much as the aggregate demand is. So there is a shortage. So this will lead to an unplanned decrease in stocks. Now, see what happens over here if my national income is greater than 100. What will happen is that here the aggregate demand is lower and the income is higher. When I say that national income is higher, I mean that the output is more than what the demand is. So there is a surplus. So this area we call as unplanned increase in stocks. So now when these situations occur, when there is an unplanned decrease or increase in stocks, either we will work on the supply side or we will work on the demand side. So if we work on the supply side here, if there is a decrease in stock, we will want to increase the supply, so the government will provide incentives to suppliers or producers to produce more and more goods and services. And also they will discourage the consumers to buy more and more, because they will try to reduce the demand and increase the supply at the same time to achieve the equilibrium here. The opposite things happen when we have unplanned increase in stocks. When there is an unplanned increase in stocks, the government will discourage the firms to produce more and they will encourage the consumers to buy more. So what will happen is that the demand will increase and the supply will decrease, and that is why the national income equilibrium will be achieved again. So ultimately what will happen is that the national income equilibrium will be restored at Y is equal to 100. So this is the mechanism that we use to attain the macroeconomic equilibrium in national income. Now Let's look at this with the help of another example. What happens when there is an increase or decrease in the injections, how the national income is impacted in that case, and then we will see the multiplier effect that is very important that when we study the national income. Now in the previous example, we had y is equal to 100, CD was equal to 0.65 and J was equal to 40. Now let's see what happens when we raise J from 40 to 50. So let's say our old J was 40 and new J is 50. So let's calculate the new level of equilibrium of national income when my injections have increased by 10. So the first condition that we use to calculate national income equilibrium is what? AD is equal to Y. Now this can be written as Y is equal to CD plus J, because AD is equal to CD plus J we've done many times. So Y is equal to 0.65 plus the new J is 50. So we can solve this equation and we'll see that the new Y becomes 125 now. So using the first condition, we have Y is equal to 125. Now let's see if this 125 satisfies the second equation. So AD is equal to CD plus W. Now we know AD is equal to 125, which is equal to 0.6 into 125, because Y is equal to 125 here, plus W, and this will again give us that W is equal to 50, which is equal to J. So even the second equation, second condition has been satisfied. So this is how we'll find the new level of equilibrium of national income if we have an increase in the injections, or we can say a decrease in withdrawals, or vice versa. So looking at this with the help of a diagram again, we have, this was Y, E, C, D, W and J on the y-axis. So again, we have Y was the 45-degree line, which is Y is equal to CD plus W. Now earlier my planned expenditure was somewhere here, which was E is equal to CD plus J. Now if the J has risen by 10, so my new expenditure line is going to be something like this. It is also going to increase. So if earlier the national income level was at equilibrium as at 100, we will have the new intersection point over here at Y is equal to 125. So we can see both with the help of a numerical and with the help of a diagram that again my national income is increasing with an increase in injections. So we can see this very clearly. Now let's look at what this impacts, how is this impacted, how is the consumption impacted with the change in national income, and how do we get the multiplier effect. So in the previous example, we've seen that Y was increasing by 25 when J was increasing by 10, right? So we've seen that basically Y is increasing 2.5 times the increase in J. We can say this, right? Writing this mathematically, can I say that the change in Y due to a change in injections was 2.5, right? And now this 2.5 or this formula is what we call as the multiplier, which is denoted as K. So the multiplier effect, if we say, is the increase in national income due to an increase in injections. So whatever the rate at which the national income increases with respect to the increase in injections is known as the multiplier, and this effect is known as the multiplier effect, right? So also we can see that we know that CD is equal to 0.6Y. So can we also say that change in CD divided by change in Y, or due to a change in Y, is equal to 0.6. I can say this, right? So this means that due to a change in income, my change in consumption would be 0.6 times the change in income, right? And this is what we call as the MPCD, which is marginal propensity to consume. So the marginal propensity to consume is 0.6 and the multiplier for national income is 2.5 in this case. Now, can we draw a relationship between the two? Yes, how? So let me see what is 1 minus MPCD, which will be 1 minus change in CD divided by change in Y, which we can say is change in Y minus change in CD divided by change in Y. Now we know that that Y is equal to AD when we have the equilibrium in national income. So if I replace AD by CD plus J, can I say Y is equal to CD plus J, right? So if I say change in Y minus change in CD, I'll get what? Change in injections divided by change in Y. Now if you look at this and this relationship, then multiplier is just the reciprocal of this. So can I say that the multiplier K is equal to 1 upon 1 minus MPCD? And this is the relationship that I can draw. So you've seen that what is the multiplier, what is the MPCD, and what is the relationship between the multiplier and the MPCD. Another thing that we've observed here was expenditure is equal to AD is equal to CD plus J. Now, this can be written as expenditure is equal to 0.6 Y plus J. And we know that if we have an equation like X is equal to 0.2 A plus B, then 0.2 is the slope of this line X if we are plotting it on the axis. So we can also say that 0.6 is the slope of the aggregate demand curve that we draw in the diagrams. So basically, if you're drawing, we know that this has always a 45 degree line, and this curve that we draw for E, the planned expenditure, the slope of this curve is given by this MPCD that we have. So we've understood the concepts of how we can calculate different points in the national income where we can get the equilibrium due to a change in injection or withdrawals, and we can find the multiplier, MPCD, and the relationship between the two. Also, one more concept that we have is, since either whatever you earn, either you will consume it or you will save it. If you assume only these two scenarios, then we can say that MPCD is equal to 1 minus MPSD, or we can just say MPS. So whatever you're consuming, either you whatever you're earning, either you're consuming or you are saving. So you can just say that 1 is equal to MPCD plus MPS. So whatever you earn, the income, either it will be consumed or it will be saved. So if you're saying that consumption is 0.6Y, then we can also say that 0.4Y is our savings, if we ignore everything else in the economy. So we can also get this relationship, which is important for solving questions. Now this is all for today, but before moving on to the next topic, you should try some questions on the topic MPCD or calculating national income equilibrium, and also a few questions on the GDP and households disposable income. That's all for today. We're going to continue from here in the next video. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.